Hi guys, you're welcome to the Friday edition, game day edition of the Views from the Stand. The Super Eagles takes on the Libyan side. I don't really know what impetus, what strength the Libyans will use to come here. There was once upon a time where half of Edo State people were searching for a map. I don't know. The guys that I have in the studio today don't know anything about the story. But there was a map. A city in the desert called Agadez was a lot more popular than some of the cities in Nigeria, especially if you're from Edo State, because Libya was the pathway to Italy. And most of the Nigerians or the Edo people that are living in Italy today pass through that Agadez, that road. If you follow the story of Idris Abdul Karim, he talked about being stuck in that place until one coach asked him to come back. The rest, as they say, is Idris Abdul Karim, the musician, and all that. But today we play against Libya in Uyo. Leading up to that game, the broadcast team that were meant to broadcast this game were ambushed by kidnappers. Three people died: a policeman, a cameraman, and a driver. But the rest of the crew managed to, I mean, some stories allegedly says that a ransom were paid. Some other stories says they ran away. Whatever the story is, we do hope that it doesn't derail the Super Eagles. It doesn't get them stuck in Agadez and not going forward. It gets them to win this game for the memory of the dead. The sad part is Uncle K, as he's called, the guy who always man Camera One, for those of you who know production, worked with me in Benin and in Jos during my time producing the Nigerian League. But we also, the story was also told that his children had said by the end of this year, he should retire and come and meet them abroad. But unfortunately, the bullet of insecurity have taken him to a place where he will retire. I just pray that all to those that lost their life, may their soul rest in peace, and may God grant their family the fortitude to bear the loss. It's a very hard place to be, but that's all that we can say from this end. And with that, I welcome you all to the Views from the Stand today. It's a double edition today. We've had Martin Tyler, and I've got the crew with me. Ayotunde Onobelu spoke to us about the father and son in the NBA, and we talked about the Bronny and LeBron James last time out. And then after that, just immediately after that show, the starting five came out on Netflix, and it has shone more light on everything about parents. I saw Sabinos. Is it Sabinos now? The
Sabonis,
yeah, Sabonis. The this
Domantas Sabonis, yeah.
yeah, and a lot of other players whose parents have played basketball before. And I want to just ask you this, Ayotunde Nobelu. Is basketball genetics or coaching?
That's a beautiful question. It's a little bit of both because we have basketball legends whose kids have nothing to do with basketball. I mean, the easiest example is GOAT, Michael Jordan. His sons have no business playing the game. But then we have others who, the fact that they've watched their fathers play the game at such a high level, it has drawn a lot of interest in them. So you have guys like LeBron, you have guys like Carmelo Anthony, whose son is, take it from me, is going to be a problem when he gets into the league. Kian is a menace. He plays so well. So it's a little bit of genetics, okay? If Okay, so in this era, we see a lot that these players have so much close ties with their families. Every time they're talking about, man, I can't wait to go back home to meet my family. I'm going to spend the summer with my family. It's family this, it's family that. So when your kids, when their kids have an opportunity to watch their dads on television, and then they know that their dads are coming back home to drop basketball aside and just have regular father-child relations with them, then they're able to tap into what makes their dad great, and that sparks off an interest in them. So it's a little bit of genetics, but of course, if you have the ability, if you have the talent, you still need a lot of coaching to get you to where you ought to be. So that's how I see it.
Just to add on top of that, if I look at the sequence from Kobe Bryant to whoever has played basketball, the children seems to do better than the father in most cases. Not in all cases, but in most cases. Laying that on, let's put a layer on top of that. Is there anything in Bronny that says he would outdo LeBron James? Because the possibility of that happening in my head is already there. And thinking about it, it means that the throne of Michael Jordan would be threatened if he can do anything better than his dad.
Yeah, that's interesting because right now, Bronny is a victim of his father's incredible success. First of all, LeBron is going to be 40 in December. In the history of basketball, and I dare stretch it to other sports, we have never seen a 40-year-old who is still one of the best players in the world at his sport. You mentioned the documentary. He said when they were trying to put him on load management, you clearly heard him diss the load management. The media was fighting. LeBron needs to rest. LeBron needs to this. His coaches were saying, yeah, he needs to rest. We need to protect his body. And LeBron is like, come on, man. I'm still good. I'm still better conditioned than most guys in the game. And that's a fact. So Bronny coming after a man like that, LeBron was drafted number one overall in 2003. Bronny was drafted number 55 in 2024. There's a huge difference. So the expectation people have of LeBron is momentous compared to the expectation they have of Bronny. Heck, a lot of people think Bronny may not even last in the league beyond the first year. He might have to go to Europe or somewhere to play because it just doesn't look like he's cut out for this level of grind. It's different. I saw him in preseason, preseason, the first 2, 3 games of preseason are the times where the first quarter, the second quarter, the stars play. But after that, the stars don't play again. The bench guys take over. And even at that, in the game they played against Milwaukee yesterday, Bronny barely played. So that brings a lot of questions. How good can this guy really be? So I think it will be a stretch of the imagination in however way you look at it to think that Bronny will have the kind of career that his father will have. That is in the league alone, I think is enough reason for him to be thankful. But dragging it that out, that means you're asking him to become the greatest player of all time, essentially.
Because I mean, we saw Kobe Bryant beat his dad, Joe Bryant. Steph Curry beats Del Curry. We've seen Klay Thompson outdo Michael,
His father, yeah.
his dad, Michael. Peter Maravich, outdoing Pres Maravich. Davin Booker beats Melvin Booker. I mean, Demantas Sobanis, I was talking about, his dad was a beast of a player, but I mean, he beats Avidas. And we could go on and on. Kevin Love, Stan Love, Jalen Brunson, and all these guys, Andrew Wiggins. I'm just hoping, or probably Bronny's been too rich to really grind because grind is for hungry people, and Bronny doesn't look hungry. Like, I mean, he's been entering private jet since he was born. But having said that, is there any thing in your crystal ball that says there is still one more ring for LeBron James?
Oh my goodness. Whoa. That's I didn't see that coming.
No, because if you look at the
That's a
Lakers team right
solid,
now,
valid question.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you look at the Lakers team right now, they've got a lot of athletic players that can really run and do everything. I don't know if what's his name, Davis. What's his name? Davis?
Anthony Davis. Yeah,
Anthony
LeBron.
Davis. Still wants it. I saw in 2000 where he was really, interested in it. He really wanted in 2020. Sorry, during the COVID, the one they did in the bubble. And
Mhm.
the guy that he let go, what's his name? The small man in the team in the Lakers team and when they won it in the bubble.
Kentavious Caldwell Pope,
No, not Contavious.
KCP.
No, not Contavious. The other guy, forgotten his name. Name the
Uh,
5 players that played in that bubble team for Lakers, and I think I remember him. One of
that's it. That's it. Right out. Let me see. The
uh
bubble team. There was LeBron. There was AD. There was KCP. I don't think Patrick Beverly was in that
no, it
team.
wasn't.
Yeah. Who was their point guard again? Oh my God. Memory fails me now. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
go
He,
ahead.
play, he played for one of these other star teams. I just forgotten his name. His name keep running away from me. But I'm thinking that if this team is this strong, like the Lakers team can really compete, they can get to the playoff. Is there one
Yeah.
more ring for LeBron?
That's going to be hard, to be honest. First of all, the success of the Lakers depends a lot on on the health of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And for the first time in a long time, Davis played a lot of games last year. We saw how incredible he was in the Olympics, especially on the
Yeah.
defensive end. He has transitioned that into this new season already. It's going to come down to the rest of the guys. How bad do they want it? You only go as far as your team carries you, essentially. So for LeBron, it's going to be difficult because again, the Western Conference is stacked. Dallas just added Klay Thompson to a team that already has Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, right? Then you have the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant is back and he has vengeance on his shoulders. That's exactly what he's trying to do. Then you have the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. They added Tyus Jones, who is one of the most underrated players in the history of the game. So the Western Conference that's why they call it the Wild Wild West. It's going to be very, very hard. But I'm not ruling it away, but if this season goes by and the Lakers cannot make it, then it's over. But I think the good thing is LeBron does not have any points to prove to anybody ever again.
Well,
Whether he wins another title or not, it really doesn't make any difference
well,
now.
I wasn't looking for him to prove any point for me. I just know that if he wins another ring, this might just be the best. This will be competing with the one he won at Cleveland, which I think is the best ring he won. Because
True.
he's going to win it with his son, and I'm not sure anybody is going to be able to beat that in the near future. Having said that, who are your maybe top 5, top 6 picks? There is one question about basketball and football I was hoping to ask you. I don't know if the time still permits us to ask that question, but who are your top 5 or 6 teams that everybody should look out for this season?
Okay, so in the Western Conference, man, you have to look at the Dallas Mavericks for sure. You have to look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are growing. They were the best team in the Western Conference. I mean, identical record with the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. You have to look at the Denver Nuggets, champions from 2 years ago, without question. And then dark horses, the Phoenix Suns. They have a new coach, the coach that won the title with Giannis in 2021, Mark Budenholzer. And then they have a new point guard. So now Kevin Durant doesn't have to bring the ball up. Booker, they don't have to do that. They can only focus now on what they do best, better than probably most guys in the league, which is scoring the basketball. In the Eastern Conference, it's going to be war. The Boston Celtics, they are still favorites to not just win the Eastern Conference, but win the title for the second time in a row. Then you look at the Milwaukee Bucks. Still a lot of questions around how Damian Lillard fits into the team that is dominated by Giannis, okay? But on paper, they look very solid. The New York Knicks, they just added Karl Anthony Towns. And I saw in preseason his combination with Jalen Brunson already looks like they've been playing together for the last 10 years. That will be difficult to beat. Then, of course, you have the Philadelphia 76ers, who are my team in the East, because now you have one of my favorite players, Joel Embiid, with one of the best guards in the game, Tyrese Maxey, who all of a sudden became a superstar overnight. And then they added Paul George to that team. So in those 3 guys, you have guys who can take you across the finish line at the end of games and close games. So those are the teams I'm looking at. Boston in the East, I'm looking at Boston. I'm looking at Milwaukee. I'm looking at Philly. Indiana, they went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I don't think it will be that easy for them this year because the East has also improved in quality. But overall, I think the Boston Celtics will win the title again. That team is too deep.
Almost everybody in football is saying the schedule is too tight, the matches are too many, they need some rest. Basketball plays 82 games, 41 at home, 41 away. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. That's very
And
correct.
they are not complaining of schedule. And footballers play on grass most of the time. It is softer. Basketball players play on a very hard surface, oak wood, right, on the floor. But they don't complain the way footballers. You think that footballers are being sissies? Like they complain too much with all the money they get paid?
I really wouldn't think so, okay? Because I understand the amount of wear and tear that sports generally brings on your body. And the truth of the matter is, guys who are complaining, guys like Rodri, I'm happy that after Rodri complained, it didn't take 2 weeks. He tore his ACL, and now he's out for the rest of the season, okay?
So he can
The
rest
wear
now.
and tear, pardon?
He can rest now.
Yeah, he can rest now. But if you asked him, he never would have wanted to sustain that magnitude of injury before having to sit out games. Okay. So I can appreciate why they feel the way they feel. Basketball is a little different because your recovery time from a game of basketball is relatively quick. That's why they play back-to-back games. They play yesterday, they play again the next day. Yes, it impacts their performance a little bit, but it's not as wild as what you would see in football. The recovery rate is complete, is a different beast in the game of football. Now, make no mistake though, there has been a lot of load management in the last 3, 4, 5 years in basketball, where the superstars, there are certain games they don't even show up to play at all. And then there are games they play, they start the games, and then they go sit out the rest of the games. So those things need to be put into consideration. And that's why it affected the quality of the product they were giving, because fans started complaining. You had fans traveling from as far as China, Australia to come watch their superstars play. And then they get into the arena and then they hear news, oh, load management, Kawhi Leonard is not going to play today. Load management, LeBron James is not going to play today. And so the fan wasted all of that money to fly down, and the superstar is nowhere to be found. And that's why the NBA brought out the 65 game rule, saying, hey, if you're going to qualify for any of the end of the season awards, you must play a minimum of 65 of the 82 games, which is not too much to ask, right? And so last season, Anthony Davis played over 65 games. Zion Williamson, with his injury history, played over 65 games. The only superstar that didn't really play over 65 games was Joel Embiid, because we all knew he was injured. Kawhi Leonard, Kawhi, Mr. Load Management himself, played over 65 games last season.
Yeah.
You understand? And then because it also affects your money. For example, there are some guys who have in their contracts, if you make an all-NBA team, first team, second team, third team, you have an additional $30 million for your contract in the new year. So you miss the cut on 65 games, you don't make the first NBA team, despite it doesn't matter how good you played, you're missing out on a potential $30 million. Think about that. So those are the incentives they have for them to keep it going.
Well, I think that maybe football would also have to try load management and see how they tie up all these things so that players stop complaining. Because if you want the big pay, then you have to play the game. That's the way I see it.
Let me say so, if you don't mind. Load management may not work in football because the margin of error is so little. You lose a game in a 38 game season. It may not make sense now, but at the end of the season, like last year, Arsenal fans are like, man, if
only we
not
beat Fulham or
against
Aston
Aston
Villa
Villa or Newcastle or things like that. In basketball, 82 games. You can lose your first 10 games of the season. You can go on a run of 12 wins in a row. There's still a lot of room for you to improve. But football is one of the most unforgiving sports. If you snooze, you will lose. And if you lose, it may bite you behind when the end of the season comes close.
What about this? Thank you very much, Ayo, that we can call on you anytime. And, you give us the very best of basketball. We look forward to your expert opinion during the course of the season. Let me switch back now to football. Bobby, let me come to you. You're dressed like me. And Ayo DJ Abib also dressed this Nigeria. Does this aura says that Nigeria is going to win today? Or we're just fooling ourselves here? In the evening, I will start lamenting and crying.
I expect us to win. I expect us to win. Come
Spoken
on.
like a politician.
I expect us to win. Yeah. I expect us to win. Not based on the jerseys we are wearing, based on the team we are facing, the place we find ourselves, familiarity with the team, the head-to-head, based on what they played in the last game. We should win the game. Eguavan just has to set his team in the right system, the right players, start with the right players. I with the right players and get the desired results. I would say go with a back three as usual, but not with two players in midfield. He should go with like three players in midfield, and in the Bashiru Onyedika, then play two.
Let's not forget that we will not be having Victor Osimhen in this game.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell who will play up front.
Lookman and Boniface. Pair Lookman and Boniface together up front. Go with a 3-5-2 because 3-4-3 doesn't work. Two player using Ndidi and
why do we need to play three at the back? I
why?
don't understand why.
Because defensively we are not good. That is what we should.
It doesn't matter. We are playing Libya. Either ways, we should beat Libya. So why should
see
we
the
need to be?
arrogance. See the arrogance.
Either
in
ways,
that.
we should beat
So
Libya.
why should we be worried? Why should we need to be worried about like defensive stability when we should just go all out and like score as many goals as possible?
You don't. That means you don't know the team you're supporting. Then Super Eagles.
We score as many goals as possible.
How many goals?
Did they weave you as they weave this chorus? So they weave something come up for your brain. No, I don't understand. Super Eagles of Nigeria playing, and you say we should score.
I think
how do you connect Super Eagles of Nigeria and score as many goals as possible in the same sentence?
That should be the standard we should hold the Super Eagles to, whether they are playing well or not.
Who makes that standard?
Okay. Like, of course, we are 3 times African champions. We've won the Olympics. We've won under 17 5 times. We've won so many things. That should be the standard we should hold our players to, regardless of anything. Libya is not Egypt. Libya is not Morocco. Libya is not South Africa to some degree that we should be scared of. And in the last 4 matches, we've beaten Libya. So these are things that you don't need to play 3 at the back. You don't need to be worried about defensive stability or structure. Put all the attackers on the field and get the win. Get the maximum point as
Thank
possible.
God Iguava is not watching this show. Would bless the Lord. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, and all that is within us. Iguava is not watching this show. That's how this boy will be in Indiana now and make Iguava lose his job.
He'll be laughing. Don't mind him.
Iguava would not lose the job. He will not come on Monday and mock Iguava again. God forbid. People like this now deceive Lee Go say, don't worry, experiment. But Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden, these guys are world-class players. With them, with the first 10 minutes, who will beat Greece? Who are Greece? The last time they won anything was 20 years ago. Wembley, Sheko. The foundation.
That's exactly what happened. Exactly.
This is the kind of advice he heard from TalkSports and Sky Sports and all those upcoming podcasts. See where they find themselves. I'm not with you, Habib. I'm not with you on this one. Eguavo, lay 3 at the back. Be solid. Secure that front of Nwabali. Because Nwabali, when they jump, sometimes like monkey will see banana. Please secure him first. Let's be so. You know that principle in football that say, for as long as you don't concede, you are within a chance of winning. But score as many goals as possible. Not Super Eagles. But let's get past that. Let's come to England. What is wrong with English coaches? What is really wrong? And you know, the funny thing with this guy was the press conference after the game. I'm not bothered about the game. I mean, you can lose to anybody. But how do you come to the press conference and you now say something like, I'm looking forward to go back to the under-20s? I mean, what happened to Lee? You're in England. Talk to me now, brother.
Lee Castley. I think Lee Castley was just being naive.
Seriously?
He actually showed that he can't handle the team, though he might end up getting the job.
No, he shouldn't get the job.
Yeah, he shouldn't, but the way he might still end up getting the job. He can't handle that team. Playing, being loyal to your players from the under-20, under-21, it makes no sense.
The level of nepotism to that conversation is annoying.
Ball is not played that way. Okay, you want to accommodate Foden, you want to accommodate Bellingham, you want to accommodate Palmer, Gordon, Saka. It doesn't go that way. You want to play with a false 9. Okay, yes, you're experimenting, but play people in the right position. It's simple. Put play what's his name?
Okay, why did he not start Maguire?
Why didn't he start Maguire? Because in some sectors, it's being seen as Maguire hasn't been up to form post Euros. He hasn't been up to scratch. And when you talk about and what they call him, Colwill and Stones are ball playing defenders. Okay. And I believe he prefers that. And Colwill is a left-footed defender, which Guehi isn't. Guehi is a right-footer that can play on the left. So for those intricacies, that is, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with him.
There were 7 English players in the box when Palvidis called that goal. I mean, come on. Something about English football doesn't really get to me. But let me go to Indiana. Habib, What is the word on the street? You know, after Pochettino was announced as the US men national team manager, he's just been silent. Nothing. We've not heard anything. I know that America is very big. You can be in Indiana and not even know what's happening with the national team. But you're a football person, so your ears will be to the ground. But America, there's so much noise. There's noise from the NFL. There's noise from Messi's Miami Adventure. There is noise from basketball. There's noise from
There's
ice
noise from
hockey.
Trump.
Then, oh God, the Trump and Kamala. You know, but what's the word on the street on Mauricio Pochettino?
I think some of the players are like excited to like work with Mauricio Pochettino, from Christian Pulisic. I think he obviously has spoken to him, and like they have like some degree of talent on ground that Mauricio Pochettino can work with, and possibly like do wonders. But I don't think there's like cautious optimism within the American soccer fans. They are cautiously optimistic about like the potentials of the team, although they have like good players to Pulisic. They have this guy who plays in Adam Tyler, who plays in the base of the midfield. They have like and Kerry McKenna also, who plays
And
for
then
Juventus,
Jonathan.
and Jonathan. So they have like some fairly good players, but it's still like cautious optimism from the fans. And considering Pochettino's last stint in Chelsea, it leaves like room.
Not Jonathan, Balogun. Jonathan plays for Canada.
Yeah, Jonathan plays for Canada. It's Balogun that I was trying to remember, the guy that's playing in the French league. That was formerly with Arsenal. Now, another thing I want to know: the US is hosting the world. US, Canada, and Mexico is hosting the world in 2 years' time. Have you started feeling the impact of America hosting the World Cup? Do you wake up to advertising? Do you wake up to noise about the World Cup coming, or is just it's another football team? We're not another soccer. We're not
I
interested.
think that it's very difficult to like call like how much the World Cup is going to impact like fans over here. I think as we get closer to the World Cup, we'll probably see like the euphoria and the hysteria rise up within the country. Right now, people are focused on the elections and stuff like that. But I think over the last like 5 years or so, US have strategically tried to market football to the fans in the country, from Inter Miami bringing in Messi to hosting the Copa America. And the national team, to some degree, have been doing well, to winning the North American Cup and to also playing in the Copa America. So they've been strategically trying to like place football in a way that the fans can see the visibility. The visibility is increasing, especially when you have like lots of Hispanic people here in America, and you also have lots of people from Europe here in America. So the visibility is increasing, but you don't get that high euphoria and excitement, probably because there are other sports that dominate soccer here in America. But I think as we get
do you think that the arrival of Messi was pretty too early? Would have been nicer if Messi had come in 2 years to the World Cup, so that noise heralded the World Cup?
I think it's perfect. Messi is building up expectation and excitement, and from the looks of things, I don't think Messi is retiring anytime soon, and I think he's well positioned to play in the 2026 World Cup. So it's basically just 2 years from now. So as Messi continues to play and he performs well in the league, I think it will build up excitement and expectation for the 2026 World Cup. And it's going to be interesting. We're hosted in 3 countries. I think this is the first time we're having something like this: Canada, Mexico, and the US. So it's interesting to see what the World Cup in North America is going to bring to the fans in general. So yeah, Messi coming in, it's just the perfect time. The Copa America being hosted, Inter Miami, Suarez, Busquets coming in. It's just the perfect time to build up excitement among the fans.
Bobby,
as we forget, the World Club Cup is also going to be hosted in the US.
Hosted in America, yeah.
And they're trying to find a way to get Inter Miami to be represented in the World Club Cup, so that Messi will also play.
But what is the need? Is that like exhibition part of it, or really?
It's marketing. It's marketing.
And US, one thing that drives their sport is marketing. Like, they don't just see sport as like, oh, it's entertainment. They also see it as a way to like make money from it. The Super Bowl, like, you see in the Super Bowl halftime show, you bring in like arrays of stars to Kendrick Lamar, to Lil Wayne, to all these people. It's a way for them to like market it. And it's interesting because sometimes Europeans tend to like adapt. I call it the Americanization of like football. They tend to like adapt something they see in America. They want to introduce it to.
Americans are already saying that the World Club Championship, they should have halftime show. And if it works
Yeah,
successfully, FIFA are
yes,
even willing to expand the halftime now to 20 minutes instead of 15 minutes so that the
yes.
halftime show can work. All of that is happening. But Bobby, as we go, let me know your take. You're in England, you feel the pulse of the people. Do you think that the English people, the way we didn't win the Nations Cup in 2000, Ghana, Nigeria 2000, and we knew that we had missed a generation that could have won the Nations Cup back to back 90, after 94, 96, 98, and 2000. Do you think that England have missed another golden opportunity to win something? Because now, if you look at the English team, pretty soon Harry Kane will retire. Lots of those senior players are also going. Walker is 30 something. He's going to go. John Stone is not too far from retirement. You now start with the Phil Foden, the Kopama, Bukayo Saka, all of these guys in their 20s, Jude Bellingham, and the rest of them. You think that England have missed a very vital opportunity to win something for the country?
Oh, definitely. They two finals, back-to-back, semi-finals. I think that's Southgate's supposed to have won something. And him not winning anything, it might be hard for them to get to a final, but not saying that because the core of this team are young. If you remove the Kanes, the Walkers, England have a lot of young players coming through different clubs who can take those spaces and still do well. But it's not their success cannot come immediately. Some people say that they might win the next World Cup. I don't think so. I think it might take a little bit of time before they get there again. But they have a lot of talented players coming through. So I think England will still have subsequently very good teams 4 years, 2 years, 6 years to come. So definitely they still have a chance. But this chance that they missed was a big one.
I think England are just one world-class coach away from winning anything. But I don't think they will ever get it right by appointing a world-class coach.
Now, I want to take your opinion, the two of you. Are we 5, 6, 7 years away from having an all-black England national team? I know it's going to make you laugh. Nobody's thinking about it, but when I look
7 years, I think it could be less than that. It could be less than that. I believe that maybe in the next.
We've seen something like that in France already. So
no, France is powered by Africa. Their light is Africa.
That's African
Everything
Union.
is powered by Africa. It's African Union. So let's not talk about France. England.
The goalkeeper. The black goalkeeper.
Black goalkeepers, they say they are not good. So I don't.
It's possible, but I think
it's practically a good black goalkeeper away, right?
Yeah. Because the goalkeeper is the one that is usually hard, but it's close. But I think with the politics of the English politics, they will find a way to make sure it's not all black. I think they will find a way.
Increasing like all black players, like more black players, you potentially increase the risk of like maybe racism or like slur attack on like on the national team. So people would probably use that as a anger or a medium.
What if the all-black team goes on and win them the World Cup?
And what if they don't? We've seen cases like that.
They've been losing since, so losing in England is not a big deal. They've been losing since 66.
Losing is not the problem, but when they lose, they always pin the blame on the black players. Like, you can see England will lose and they'll put a picture of Rashford or Saka, who probably did not play any minutes in the game, as like, this is the face of like failure or disappointment. So we've seen that countless number of times.
Do we still bother about that thing that they do? I mean, I've not gotten to the place where it doesn't bother me. I don't care.
Yes and no. For Nigerians or like people like us that grew up in like predominantly like black countries, I don't think racism really freaks us like that because we're not exposed to the same conditions and environment as to which someone who is black grew up in, like a probably predominantly white country. The kind of experience you get is different. If I got insulted by a white person, I'll probably just shrug it off. I don't really care. or someone who grew up in like predominantly like black all white environment, growing up, the insult, the arrays of abuse, it can affect them psychologically. So yeah,
Of
for
course.
us, for I know Edafe doesn't really care about racism. Yeah, because you grew up in Nigeria. So yeah, obviously.
Don't say that. So you can't bet on it anyway. But I don't care about
Yeah,
racism. Having said
yeah,
that,
yeah.
thank you very much, everyone. The show is over. Let's hope that the Super Eagles win their game tonight. Bye.
Also,
Hopefully. They better do.
He said they better do. You
They
bet on
better
them.
do.
You bet on them.
I know bet, but they better
Don't
do.
try
They
them.
better do.
Don't bet on Super Eagles. Oh. You don't throw away
give
money.
us
Oh.
give us 5 Super
Go and
Eagles.
give charity your money. Oh. Sister Charity needs that money, not Super Eagles. Yeah, it's the same. Go win, score as many goals as possible.
As